Hi, I'm Kevin Eikenberry, and I'm here to help you reach your potential as a leader and a human being. Welcome to Remarkable TV. Today we're talking about the television show Undercover Boss and the lessons that you can learn from it. Are you ready? Let's get started. Well, you've probably seen the show, or at least you know the premise of the show, right? So I'm not a shill for CBS, but let me tell you about how this show works. If you don't know the premise, so here's the deal. Every week, a CEO of a big organization disguises themselves, puts on wigs, lots of makeup, maybe a false mustache, change their hair, do something so that they can't be detected. And they, under the guise of some pilot television show of some sort, they get the chance to spend a day with 4 of their employees from 4 different locations around the country. And they're in a day of training for that person's job. They get a chance to spend time with that person. Well, it's an entertaining show. Some good stuff happens. Some inspirational stuff happens. All kinds of, there's a reason the show's been on for several seasons. Right? But we're not talking about it today because I want you to watch Undercover Boss, although I think it's a fine show and there are leadership lessons for us there. I'm here to tell you what lesson you should take from any individual episode. And the fact that the show even exists is because of this point. And that is that these CEOs go to great lengths. They take a week out of their lives to live in out-of-the-way places and put on 18 hours worth of makeup and do all this stuff because they don't know what's going on in their organizations, right? So for 4 days, they're finding out what's really happening in the trenches of their companies. See, here's the thing. I do a lot of coaching with senior leaders, and what I find often is senior leaders are frustrated because no one will tell them what's really going on. So they have to go on television, apparently, and dress up in order to find out what's really going on. See, my lesson for you today is about communicating upward, giving feedback to senior leaders. Senior leaders tell me all the time, man, I wish people would tell me what's really going on. I wish they would tell me what's happening as opposed to what they think I want to know. And yet all the time that I spend with leaders in the with people in the organization, including other leaders, they say, man, they don't really want to know. I couldn't ever tell them. You can't give them that information or that feedback. They don't want to know it. It would be career suicide if I were to share all that. Well, there's a big difference between those 2 points of view, aren't there? I'm here to encourage you to think about the fact that senior leaders want to know. Yes, I suppose there are a few that really don't. But as a general rule, here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. If there's information that you have that you think senior leaders need to know, then you ought to share it with them. Think about it this way. If you were the senior leader, would you want to know? Now, I think there's some things that you can do to give the feedback more successfully. I think that you should absolutely offer to share the information, and then if reciprocated and asked for, then share the truth. But share the truth as observation, not judgment. See, the thing is that senior leaders have a lot of perspective. They see a lot of things that we don't see. And so they have a different filter than we have. But what we need to share with them is here's what's actually happening. Here's what customers are saying. Here's what's happening in the workplace. Senior leaders, almost all of them, want that information. We can do it tactfully, we can do it carefully, but we mostly need to do it by sharing the observational data. What does the videotape show? What actually happened? Not our spin on it, not our judgment about it, not our inferences related to it. Those senior leaders are smart and they've got perspective that we don't have. We need to share the data and let them take it from there. Most of all, don't assume that they don't want to hear. Because every season, there's a whole bunch of CEOs that are willing to take a bunch of effort just to get that information. You can share it with them. You might be surprised at how valuable they will find it. You might be surprised the value that it will have for you by being willing to share that information. Let me close with today's tweet. Senior leaders need feedback too. Share what you see, and they will appreciate the perspective. Each week, we shoot video, and we call it Remarkable TV. Each week, I record a podcast. We call it the Remarkable Leadership Podcast, where I bring a guest in alongside me, a successful leader, a thought leader in the area of leadership and communication and team building and more. And we talk about those things. We talk about teams and leadership and organizational communication and organizational change and culture and human potential and all of that stuff with really smart people. And I share all that with you now because in an upcoming episode, I'm going to have a past participant on Undercover Boss, not an employee, one of the bosses. I've got a co-chair of a major corporation who's going to join me, and we're going to talk about a lot of great stuff, and I'm going to give you backstory stuff on Undercover Boss. So if you're watching this, you'll want to be subscribing to our podcast, the Remarkable Leadership Podcast. All the information's right here, and I hope to see you on a future episode right here of Remarkable TV.